All right. Thank you for joining at 8 o'clock. We were looking at lists, and towards the end, we also conducted a small surprise quiz just to give you some glimpse of our understanding of pointers, as well as if there is any improvement required, etc. These are not the questions that will come in the quiz. Uh, but of course, the interface will remain similar on Moodle. Right. So, okay, so let's continue our discussion. We looked at the insert function. Now let's come to the next part, which is going to be the printing of the elements. Right. So the printing of the elements is relatively easy. We have already done that as part of insert when we were traversing through the linked list. Do we need to worry about if the list is empty, that is the head is null or not? Well, sometimes we may have to. I mean, you can write, if you are concerned about this, you can write if head equals null, return. Else, then you have a for loop or a while loop which goes over the elements of the list. That is also okay, but you can see that the later part, having a for loop or a while loop, will still work even if you do not have that special condition on the head being none, right? So essentially, yeah, okay, so the output should be this. So for each element in the list, we would like to print the element. So even if we have PTR, just have the for loop, and we don't have any special treatment to head being null, this code will still work. PTR equal to head, while PTR not equal to null, PTR equal to PTR arrow next. So if the list is empty, then this loop does not execute any iterations. As soon as the condition PTR not equal to null is checked, it becomes false, and therefore we come out of the loop. At this stage, we can print using PTR. So PTR arrow val, PTR arrow val, or whatever is the name of the variable inside the node, that can be printed directly. Alternatively, like we discussed yesterday, you can make use of that print function inside the node to really print it. So here I have printed it directly as PTR arrow val, but in the code that we saw yesterday, we could call this print function. So PTR arrow print, and then it will take care of printing the value. Right? Okay. Any questions on the print part or any other part, insert, print? Okay. So we'll move ahead from here. Finding is another part that we would like to check, right? So I would like you to spend time, now that we know the printing, I would like you to think about how you will write the find function. So please write it down. And this time maybe you can avoid the pseudocode. You can actually try writing in C++ or C. So you are given an element and as an integer, and that you would like to search in the linked list. So you are provided the you have access to the head somehow. If someone has completed, please feel free to post in the chat. So we said that for the list will require the search to be of the order of n, where n is the number of elements inside the list, which essentially means that we are going to require a loop. So you can use the same loop as we used for insert or print, and then within that, as you are at each node, we need to check the value inside each node, and that will give you the find function. So you can assume that it returns let's say true or false, or 1 and 0, depending upon if you find it or not. Okay, Kaushik has written PTR next. It should be PTR equal to PTR arrow next. If PTR arrow val equals find return 1, yes, that is correct, but there is something more required. Yeah, that return 0 is required. Okay, but good, that is on the right lines. Tanay has written, that seems to be all right. Okay, Chotu Kumar has written node star head int k. Yes, outside Kaushik, yes, outside the for loop, there should be written node star temp equal to head, while temp, if temp arrow val equals k, return temp. Okay, sure. Temp equal to temp arrow next, return null. Sure. Yeah, the last statement can be return null or return temp. Either way, it should be all good. So whatever Chotu Kumar has written, that is how you will do when you have linked list implemented without classes, right? As a C function. Right? Now, can somebody write this same find function in a recursive manner? Let's say one of the functions, let's say whichever has been written by Chotu Kumar or Tanay, can you write it in a recursive manner? Just a suggestion for everybody. Yeah, try practicing. It's very important that you write the codes yourself. I have given the codes just for your reference, but that doesn't mean that if you just read the code, you will feel like you have understood, but when it comes to writing on your own, you will falter. So request you to try out the codes yourself, even if you have looked at them, because in that process you will learn. Slides is too insufficient to learn programming. Okay, so recursive formulation of find. Okay, Murari says list find node star head int k. If head equals null, returns 0. Okay. If head arrow val equals k, return 1. Otherwise, return find of head arrow next k. That seems to be all right. Except that, I mean, you might just want to. Yes, that is correct. Yes, sure. Right, so the loop is going to go away, and then you are going to have a recursive call for the next element, right? And you have to take care of the special case head equals null, because that you will hit if the element is not present, or it could also be hit if list is empty. Essentially, that means element is not present. This order is very important. The first two statements, head equals null and head arrow val equals k. Because if we reverse head arrow val, when you try to dereference, the head might be actually null. That will give you segmentation fault. So this order is very important. The way Murari has written is what should be followed. Okay, good. So I hope you, some of you will try this out, and I encourage you to try that out. Kaushik has written, we'll find it from PTR while PTR not equal to null. Okay, so there is a small issue here. Uh, this is a good attempt, but there is a small issue. The issue is that the recursion already takes care of the looping. So we don't need the while loop. What we could do is if ptr not equal to null instead of while, if ptr arrow val equals null num, then return 1, else return find num ptr arrow next, that is correct. And in the else part of that if, you can have return 0. That should be okay. Then Aniruddha has written bool find data type val. Yeah. If ptr arrow val equals num, return 1, else. Okay, so here is where that null case is important to be checked, because initially when we call this function, that ptr might actually be equal to head, and that is what we have to worry about. Else if ptr arrow next not equal to null, return ptr arrow next dot find. No. That find is on the list, it is not on the node. So ptr arrow next dot find will probably not be appropriate unless you want to. Okay, so let's say that you have written find on the node. In that case, it might still be all right. But if you do that, then okay, sure. But you are still calling find from the list and then internally calling it recursively for the head node. Sure, that is fine. Else if ptr arrow next not equal to null, then this else return 0. Yeah, so only the first case needs to be taken care of, head being null. Otherwise, this seems to be all right. Yeah, this seems to be okay. Okay, so we'll move ahead from here. For each element in the list, if the element is same as that to be searched, found the element, element not present, right? So just look at the indentation of this code. Element not present is in parallel to the for loop, which means that it is outside the for loop. So that is what essentially what some of you have suggested, and that is going to give you essentially the find function. Okay. I'll just quickly go to the code first. We have not really looked at the codes. Okay. So the print function is essentially like this, where I'm also calling the ptr arrow print instead of printing it from here. Either way, it should work out. Print recursive. Okay, so this print recursive is what we will call from the main, and main does not have access to head, and therefore print recursive cannot pass list arrow head or l dot head as a parameter. So what I have done is that I have this print recursive function which is without parameters, and then within that I am calling another function which is also having the same name, which is possible in C++ because this is called as polymorphism or function overloading. So I can have multiple functions having the same name as long as they have different signatures, that is different set of parameters, arguments. So I have this separate function. Think about it as print recursive 2, right, which has head as a parameter. Why is that useful? Well, then in that case I can write this function as a recursive function, because for recursive function I'll have to say print recursive of ptr arrow next. So if ptr, that is if ptr not equal to null, then I essentially print the current one, and then print recursive is going to be called for the next one, right? And that takes care of recursively printing it. And if I just reverse these two, that is I call print recursive ptr arrow next first and then ptr arrow print, essentially I print the sequence, print the list in reverse order, right? So this is an important point. So let me just quickly run run this code. So we have, okay, insert this, find recursive is okay, print. Let me comment out the find recursive. That is not currently important. And yeah, reverse is also not important. Print is what we expect to. Maybe I'll insert a couple more. Maybe X, Y, and Z. Right? And then I compile it, and I expect that it prints in the same order. It is printing iteratively. And now if I try to print recursive, then it also prints in the same manner. Now what we are going to do is to reverse those two statements. Right, so here, instead of printing the node first, I'm going to print PTR arrow next first, and then going to print the node. So it is, the way it is going to work out is that, let's say the elements are A, B, C, D, F, or A, B, X, Y, Z. Then while it goes to A, and then it says that I'm going to print A, but not now. Let me print B first, and then I'm going to print A, right? So that is what is print recursive of B, and then printing of A. When it goes to print recursive of B, that invocation of print recursive also says that, okay, let me print X, that is the next element, then I'll print B. So that is how it goes on, and in the end, when it returns, that print recursive returns as if PTR not equal to null, and it becomes null. PTR arrow next becomes null. I mean, for the previous call, and therefore PTR for the current call. So that becomes null, and therefore it prints Z here. Right? So it will print Z after this print recursive returns because of this condition. So that returns, it prints Z, and then it prints Y and X, and then B. And yeah, sorry, there was a question.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you show the code one?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, like the second function, print recursive. Sir, like this is also coming under the list which we have.
Yes.
So we have defined this function also in that, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. We have both the functions declared here. All the functions need to be declared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, why we needed the second function? Like that part we could have put in the first function only, that print recursive. So inside this only.
That is correct. The problem is that we cannot pass that node star as a parameter. Because for this to happen, main needs to call it with some head, right? So L dot head or something. But unfortunately, L dot head is a private member.
Okay, got it. Yes, sir. But in that function only, we need. Sir, like here also we are having the head variable inside this function print recursive. So here we have put print recursive head here, no?
Yes, so that is allowed because this print recursive function is a member function of list. So whatever is there inside list, even if it's private variable, public variable, protected variable, that will be accessible to all the list API, but it will not be accessible to outside world like main.
Okay, sir. Yeah, got it. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Any other concerns? Okay, so let's try if this actually prints the list in reverse order, and it seems to be doing that, right? So just a small change can help you print the list in reverse order. Okay, so I'll restore that. So that was our print. Let's come to find. So find was our loop going over the, and you can write it in different ways. I mean, if you are not comfortable with this particular syntax, you can write it in this manner, right? So you just have node star PTR equal to head, right? While head not equal to null, then we check if while ptr not equal to null, if ptr arrow val equals val, return 1, return 0, right? So you can write it in either way, that should be okay, not an issue at all. It's the same thing. Okay, so that was our find, and then find recursive was essentially again in a similar manner, where find recursive of a particular value being passed, in this case data type val, is what a main function or outside world or any client of your library will be able to call. Within that, we need to, for recursive formulation, we need the pointer, I mean the access to the first element of the list or the second or the remaining element and so on. And that will require us to pass head as a parameter, and therefore I have again defined an auxiliary function find recursive. In fact, find recursive, if it cannot be called from main, I should probably declare it in as a private member of this class rather than as a public member, because if it cannot pass the pointer, then it makes sense to push it as a private or a protected member. Okay, so find recursive of val is essentially what a val with head as a parameter will be required. For debugging purposes, I had printf, for which I required this boolean variable found. Otherwise, you can just return find recursive val comma head, right? So that is also okay. But, all right, so that is fine. And then the recursive formulation is what a couple of you have suggested. If ptr equals null, then return false, right? So you have reached the end of the list. That means you have traversed the whole list. If ptr equals null, that means you have traversed the whole list, whether it was empty or otherwise. But you have traversed it, and you have, that means you have not found the element. Because if you had found the element, then you would have returned immediately. Where here ptr arrow val equals val, then I don't go further. I just return. So I don't traverse the remaining set of elements. And otherwise, which means that I am at a node which is non-null and I have not yet found the value, then I need to recursively call for the remaining elements, and that is going to give me the val comma ptr arrow next. Whatever it is that I'm just going to return. Okay, so that is this. Okay, so any questions so far? Okay, there is a what default arguments work in that case? Would default arguments work in that case? Anantu is asking. So what is a default argument? In case of C++, we can have some notion of a default arguments where you can specify, let's say head, node star ptr equal to head, or maybe some null or something like that. And that can help you create, call the function with different number of arguments. For example, if it so happens that by default, let's say most of the students are from, let's say hostel Mahanadi or something, right? So I can make that as the default argument, but so that I can just call that function with the roll number, and by default the hostel name is going to be Mahanadi. Or many times initialization of some variable could be 0, in which case we can make that as a default. So then the same function, which has, let's say, 2 arguments. First argument is something and the second argument is the default argument. That first argument is going to be passed, and the second argument I can pass or not pass. So it becomes optional to pass that argument, right? And you can have multiple default arguments. So then the number of variations goes on increasing. Anyway, that is not something which we are going to study, but I'm just mentioning it because Anantu brought this point in, that you can create different variations of the same function by having default arguments. So yes, in this case, default argument may not work out if you have these 2 variants, because if the default argument is for the second parameter, then essentially it is not clear when you pass it as a single element which function you will be calling. So you will get a compile time error in this case. If you do not have that auxiliary function, then it is okay to have a default argument. Okay. Any other concerns, questions here?
Sir, I have a doubt. Sir, in the print recursive function which had head as a parameter, sir, usually when we have recursion, we use a base case where we return something, but it was like void type. So I didn't get the intuition how it is actually getting back to the previous element.
So the base case is here. This if PTR, that's a good observation. This if PTR is essentially taking care of the base case. So if I may write it in the opposite manner, what you can say is that if PTR equals null, return, right? Otherwise, which is like this, PTR arrow print and print recursive. Right? So this is how the base case is, but that is being taken care of because of an implicit else part. Right? So when I remove this and go back to the original code, so when PTR equals null, it goes to the else part, and there is no else, and therefore it silently finishes the function, which is essentially what we were doing as the base case.
Okay.
Sir, can you show the same for find recursive?
The find recursive, sure. So find recursive. Yeah, so here there is a return value, so therefore that's what we will return. Here there is an explicit base case, right? In fact, there are two base cases, and then there is a recursive one. Any other concerns? Okay, Anant is asking, what I meant to say was, can we get rid of having two different functions if you use head as the default argument in the function that main calls? Oh, I see. That is possible. That is possible. In this case, what we will have to do, unfortunately, is to have a separate some kind of memory location which will signify the second parameter. The reason being that if you pass head as null, which is one special value that we know of, that is also a valid argument to pass, right? So if actually the list is empty, then we cannot distinguish whether the head is, head is empty because the list head is null because the list is empty, or because you have passed it as a default argument. So we'll have to create some temporary dummy memory location, and that we'll have to kind of give as the default parameter. It could be a static value inside the function, maybe inside the class, maybe. So that is possible. Yes, you are right. So that can take care of instead of creating these two functions, we can have that as the function. I think that should be all right. Yes, that is correct. Good point. Any other concerns? All right. So, okay, so let's come to the removal part now, right? So we would like to, so those were our typical functions, right? So inserting an element, finding an element in the list, then printing the elements in the list. And now we would like to also remove the elements. Now we said that the elements are unordered, that is, they are in non-sorted order. And one design decision that we have to make is remove, whether it removes only the first occurrence or the last occurrence or any occurrence or all the occurrences, right? If you have to remove only the first occurrence, you have to specify that, right? So whatever is your design decision, that should be known as in the documentation, that this is how the list is going to operate, or even if it removes all the elements, that should be mentioned. So in this case, let's say that we would like to remove all occurrences of the value, because removing the first occurrence will turn out to be very similar to find function. Essentially, removal is going to involve find. Therefore, its complexity is at least order n. But hopefully, removal in a linked list might not require you too much of extra work. So it will remain order n. So, but does it remain order n even if you want to remove all occurrences? For example, if there is removal of 2, removal of 2, then there are 2 occurrences of 2 and we would like to make the list as 4795. Right, so please try to write that. What happens when you remove 2, what happens when you remove 5, which is the last element, what happens when you remove 4, which is the first element, and maybe remove 10 also, which doesn't exist in the list. And if someone wants to write the code in the chat box, that is also good. To remove the first element, we can just shift the head. No. It's not remove only the first element, Saicharan. This is removing an element which is passed as a parameter, which might be at the start of the list. If that is the, so the user is going to call it as remove 5, remove 2, whatever. But our code needs to work irrespective of what the input is. So we have to take care of all these cases in the remove function. Like we took care of all the cases when we were doing find, right? So we said that PTR might be null, or my element might be at the start of the list, or whatever, end of the list. And all of those cases were taken care of by the same code. In a similar manner, removal should take care of that, all these cases in the same function. If we want to remove only the first element, irrespective of what it is, then we don't need to pass any argument. And then in that, we can have that as a separate API, which will remove only the first element. Then you are right that we just shift the head. But there is a small catch here that we would also like to deallocate the memory that we had allocated, right? So a general rule of thumb is, if you have allocated memory, you should deallocate it. So in case of insert, if you recall, we have used new function, new operator rather, so that we allocated memory. So similarly, then remove, we'll have to deallocate memory if we find that node to be present. Insert function, sure. So this was our memory allocation. So we have to do a deallocate in the, so that deallocation, you can assume that this is malloc, but essentially new has a corresponding delete operator. So you can just do delete of pointer and that will delete the deallocate memory which is being pointed to by that pointer. Okay, there is a question. Find the element before the element to be found. Previous arrow next equal to current arrow next. That is correct. And then delete current. That seems to be reasonable. Yes, that seems to be reasonable. So the idea is correct, that you have to somehow go to the previous element, and then previous next should be pointing to previous arrow next, right? Previous's next pointer should be pointing to skipping the element to be deleted, right? What you have to take care of is that previous, how do you set when it is the first element to be removed, right? So you have to modify head in some way. So that end case you have to take care of. The second end case is when the list is empty, in which case there is nothing to delete. The third end case might come, but can be possibly subsumed inside one of these cases, is when the element is not present in the list, in which case it will just go over the list and not do anything. Kaushik is asking, but how to find the element before the element to be found? Yes, we cannot find the element before the element because the list is going only in one direction. It's a one-way road. We cannot go back. Right? If you go back, the police will call you. Right? So what that means is that somehow, if we have to go to the previous element, we have to keep track of that somewhere. So instead of let's say Viru from Sholay is going to go alone, we will have to also have Jay who is sitting behind, right? If not on the side part of that scooter. Right? So you have to have Viru as well as Jay, and they both are keeping track of who the previous person is. So that if Viru is at the current node where you have found the value, then Jay is holding the node which is behind, right? So this Viru Jay combination will probably help you. Pawan says remove node star head k while head arrow next not equal to null. Okay, this condition will have a problem, but let's see. If head arrow next arrow val equals k, then head arrow next equal to head arrow next arrow next. Okay, so what Pawan is suggesting is that we don't need Viru and J together. What I can do is I can just have J at the back, and from there I'm going to check what the next element is, right? So that is what is being done by checking the value of head arrow next arrow val, right? So that is possible to be done. This idea is correct. There is no problem with this idea, except that in some end case this is not going to work out. For example, when head is null, this will sec fault. Similarly, if the element is in the end of the list, this code will not work, right? Because we will have that head arrow next will become true. So assume that there is single element in the list and that element is present. So head arrow next is going to be null, and therefore it will come out of this. So, but yeah, otherwise this logic is correct. Sai Charan says use a temp variable to delete head arrow next. Yeah, so in this case there is no deletion happening. That is correct. We will have to have a temporary variable to hold the value of head arrow next thing. Yeah, we'll need a temp variable. That is correct. So only setting up the links is not sufficient. We have to also deallocate memory. Correct. Good. So I hope you are getting a hang of the situation that in lists, if the operation is read only, for example, if I just want to print or find the elements, things are relatively easy. You can code it up rather easily. But when you want to manipulate the links, which happens in the context of insert as well as remove, there you have to be a little careful and especially take care of the end cases. The regular case you will be able to write, but take care of the end cases. Think about three things. One is list is empty. The element is at the start, therefore head needs to change, and the element is in the end, in which case you have to worry about whether you are accessing that element or not. Otherwise, almost all the cases get covered by the regular case. Okay, and that is likely to be useful for all our further discussion also, whether we talk about trees, etc. Okay, there is a good amount of code written by Chotu Kumar. Remove target, return head. If not of head, return null. Okay, that seems to be good. New head equal to head, temp equal to head, previous equal to null, while temp current equal to temp. If temp arrow val equals k and temp equals new head, the new head equal to temp arrow next, delete temp, temp equal to new head. Okay, else if temp arrow val equals to previous equal to temp arrow next, delete temp and temp equal to previous arrow next. Okay, so this is required because you are removing multiple occurrences of the same variable, right? So we cannot stop. So that seems to be reasonable. I'll have to check the end conditions once, but that logic seems to be okay. Murari has written head arrow val equals k, then node start temperature equal to head. No. We cannot have that condition first, head arrow val, because head might be null. So that we have to take care of. But yeah, assuming that head is non-null, head equal to head arrow next, delete temp ptr. Correct. So this is very important that you are moving ahead in the list and then deleting the previous one. So imagine that these two statements, head equal to head arrow next and delete temp ptr, are reversed. So delete temp ptr is going to remove the memory that was allocated, and therefore it is not guaranteed whatever head is pointing to is a valid memory location, right? And therefore you might not be able to get, I mean, this is also called as dangling pointer. You might not be able to get the correct execution of head equal to head arrow next. You might as well, right, if you are lucky. So therefore this ordering that Murari has given is important. Then we go over ptr equal to head, ptr arrow next, ptr equal to ptr arrow next. If ptr arrow next arrow val equals k, temp ptr arrow next, arrow next is, and delete temp ptr. Is this the okay? So there is a little bit of concern here. One is the head should not. Oh, I see. Oh, this is on. Oh, this is for all the occurrences of that element at the start of the list. I see. Okay. There could be multiple occurrences of that element. Oh, I see. So that is being taken care of by this while loop. And then this for loop is for the regular case where you are using ptr. Okay, fine. That sounds to be good. And then ptr arrow next arrow, sure. So yeah, this seems to be okay. In the end, ptr arrow val equals k. Yeah, here also again we'll have to be a little careful. The reason being that I mean, so let's say I'm removing one and there is only one element in the list. So I have already removed it here, and then head is going to become essentially null, and therefore this condition will segfault. Right? In a similar manner, when I remove the elements here, then this condition can segfault. But otherwise, I understand your logic is correct. Ptr arrow val equals k. So this is for the remaining part towards the end. Not start temp ptr equal. Sure. I think this last case can also be subsumed in the previous one, and I'll show you the code. But otherwise, the logic seems to be all right. Pawan is asking what is delete. Delete is just the opposite of new. Think about it as freeing the memory, right? So we have malloc and free. Similarly, in C++, we have new and delete operators. So you can write malloc and free instead of new and delete. That is okay. Is it an inbuilt C++ function or did I miss a predefined function? It's an operator. Yeah, Murari, yes. In the for loop, we can have that condition subsumed, is what I think is possible. Let me see the code. I think that should be all right. Okay, so we are close to 4 minutes to go. Any other concerns, questions so far? Anybody wants to give any other suggestions before we look at the code? Okay, but very importantly, please try these out yourself. Just by looking at the code, you will feel that you have understood, but when you try to write it up, it's going to create problem. And that's the reason why I ask you to code this up in the class itself. Okay, so if head equals null, then I just return false. So I'm using the return value to indicate if the element was present or not, I mean while deletion. The general case is this, where previous equal to null, and then depending upon, so previous is our Jai, who is keeping track of the previous element, but some of you have done it using the next right? That is also another way in which that can be done. It's just that because of that, probably Murari felt that there is a end case needs to be taken care of separately, right? So if we keep track of previous variables separately, then that end condition might not be required. Okay, so previous equal to null and the current is equal to head, right? Or PTR equal to head, which is going to go over essentially the list. So previous is keeping track of the previous element, which initially is again going to be null. And then depending upon the what you find, if that PTR arrow val equals the val that I have passed, then you perform certain operation. Otherwise, if you do not find the current node containing the value, then we have to perform not only PTR equal to PTR arrow next, but before that we have to update previous. So now J is going to come to Viru and then Viru is going to go ahead. So which means that J equal to Viru and Viru equal to Viru array next, right? Which means that previous equal to current or PTR and PTR equal to PTR arrow next, right? So that is what is going to be required. So I have written this for loop which has again 3 parts: PTR equal to head while PTR not equal to null, and I am not incrementing it right here, PTR equal to PTR arrow next, because that is conditional. So I have moved it inside the code. You can alternatively write it using a while loop, that is also okay. Right? So if PTR arrow val equals value, right? So I have reached an element which needs to be deleted. Now at this stage, I have to check, what I need to do essentially is that the previous arrow next should point to PTR arrow next, right? So the previous one is J should point to Viru arrow next. That is what we should be doing. But that previous might be null, in which case previous arrow next is invalid. So I have to be a little careful and on that part, right? So the node to be removed is essentially PTR. Again, in this case, it's not really required to define this variable, but from our let's say human intuition perspective, if I have a variable of this name, it becomes very easy for me to remember that this is the node to be removed, right? And then I need to check if J is null or not, that is previous value is null or not. If previous is non-null, then only I need to set the previous to next. Otherwise what? If previous is null, what does that mean? Okay, there are multiple messages. Wouldn't node star temp PTR point to head arrow next after the head update statement? So wouldn't that get deleted? This you are talking about, I think, Murari's function. No, so see, the point is that if we delete first, then that memory is gone. Then accessing that memory might not be reasonable, is not reasonable, and that is why we have to do first head equal to head arrow next, and then delete that pointer. So Mayank has written a code: head while temp arrow next arrow val. Again, here we have to take care of the end cases where the head might be null, or head arrow next might also be null. That is also one possibility. The other point here is that we have to worry about is we are skipping the first node, right? So first node's value, that is head arrow val, head arrow data, is not being checked because we are checking temp arrow next arrow data, which is essentially head arrow next arrow data. So we are skipping the first element being checked. So that also needs to be looked at. But otherwise, to delete is temp arrow next equal to temp arrow next arrow next, and delete to delete. Yeah, that seems to be okay. Right. So the answers to my question was: first element, head element is num, head to be removed. Yes. So if the previous is null, that means I am in this situation. That means that the head needs, the element at the head is getting deleted, and therefore I need to update the head, right? And the previous will continue to remain null, right? So if that is not the case, that is I have some previous to be non-null value, then I can set previous arrow next to PTR arrow next, right? Otherwise, I need to update the head, because that is what I am going to remove. And that to be removed element is essentially PTR or to be removed or head in that case when previous was null. Otherwise, it is some intermediate node. So that delete to be removed happens later. Before that, I need to update the pointer PTR, which is my essentially the hop pointer. So that needs to be done first before I do the delete, and then removed equal to true is essentially just for returning the value. Right? In contrast, if PTR arrow val is not equal to val, that is the else part of this, then essentially I need to update the previous and move the PTR equal to PTR arrow next. So this PTR equal to PTR arrow next, I could not write here because that doesn't get executed as the last statement of the if part. This statement PTR equal to PTR arrow next happens somewhere in between, and therefore I had to not write it inside the for loops upper part. Any questions on this part? Any case I have missed? Anything which is wrong? Yeah, those of you who have classes, please go ahead. We'll most probably stop unless there are any questions. Once again, please try out these codes yourself. I mean, write the code yourself. Not only compile and run. Okay, so if there are no questions, we'll probably stop here. The code for list removal is similar. You could take a look at it, or I'll see if we need to have some more discussion on that in the next class. All right, see you then. Bye. Okay, there is a question. In yesterday's surprise quiz, can you give an example of initializing the pointers? Initializing the pointers. Okay, sure. So let's make use of this. So we had int star PTR, so that can be ampersand of x, provided x is a variable. Right? So this part is okay. Similarly, int star PTR can be pointing to a, where a was some array. Right. Alternatively, I can have int star PTR equal to ampersand of a, right, where a is as defined before. Then int star PTR of n is an array of pointers, and then I can have for loop 0 less than n plus plus ii PTR of ii equal to null or whatever, and then PTR of maybe let's say 5 equal to ampersand of x, something like that. Right? So these were different ways, I suppose. Was there anything else that I'm missing? Anish, any other concerns? Let me just is this okay or okay? No problem. Any other concerns? Okay, so we'll stop here. See you.